want to welcome everybody to the first episode of the Jaguar Wright Show. Hey, we're finally here, and I'm loving that our first survivor that we're bringing forward is our girl Tammy Wallace, aka Lady Sasha, not to be confused with any other Sasha. Sasha is her pen name. It's so interesting that the journey through her pain led her to writing beautiful stories where she gets to put in, just little safety notes of what people need to look out for. She's been through a lot, and her journey has brought her there. But let's figure out how she got there. How did she become this prolific, up-and-coming new children's book author? I think about what my pain did for my work and the access it gave me, how it opened me up to be able to work through a lot of that. But nothing has been more cathartic than speaking out. Not having to use my music and my art to hide and to create little SOSs, but to just be able to say it because it happened and it was real, whether people wanted it to be or not. Tammy isn't from the music industry like I am. Tammy is sports. Sports is just another industry in the big cabal of the bad. A lot of young athletes have gone through a lot of the same things a lot of young entertainers do. Tammy is going to be our first little peek inside how not different the sports world is from the music industry or even the movie or television industry. It's all the same. And it's a shame because it's the same song, the same story. I want you to listen to Tammy. Save your judgment. Listen. There's a reason why she's sitting here with me and not Tasha K. Once upon a time, there was a possibility of Tammy bringing that story. And I think, the proof is in the pudding. She's here. You guys can trust what she's saying to be true. Everything that we have is backed up by fact, detail, court record. Tammy won her case. She went after her abusers, and she won her case. Just like our sister, Natanya Rubin, won her case. And guess what? It didn't end there. That should have been the end of it. But it sent her on a whole nother journey that took her through fights with her family, the end of a marriage, the beginning of a new life as a woman, on a mission to pull down the curtain, or she says, pull up the rugs, to show everybody where the dirt is so we can clean it up and make it safe again. You're going to hear about decades of gaslighting, decades of lies and disinformation, but more importantly, decades of silence, while the same people that hurt her were allowed to still work with children and keep doing what they did to her.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wallace, originally from Pomona, California, and I ran track at Pomona High School for 4 years, graduated. As far as my home life, they used to call me and my sister the Huxtables because we were really spoiled. My dad was a CEO for almost 30 years, and my mom, she worked at the school actually. I have a younger sister. We're 20 months apart. And for the life of me, I never understood why my mom just catered to her, all the time, even to this day. One Mother's Day, I asked her, I said, why do you treat us so differently? And she said, because of our skin tones, our complexion. And my dad, he would transport inmates from state to state on the plane. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, he's getting drunk, beating my mom every 5 minutes, beat us. But everybody thought we were, we didn't have problems, but I hated living there. It was so bad, I wanted to live in a foster home. I tried to run away twice. My sister, my biological sister, to this day, my mom just, I don't care what, I better not say nothing about my sister. My sister got pregnant in high school. I went to college, got married, then had kids. I tried to do everything I was taught to do. My sister had a kid in high school. Her boyfriend lived with us in high school, but I couldn't even have company. Our family is taught to sweep it under the rug, don't say anything. So, yeah, my childhood wasn't all that great. I hated living there, hated it. I remember seeing FloJo in the Olympics in LA, and it was on TV. And I knew I was fast. I said, that's how I'm gonna get out of here at a young age. I'm gonna have to run my way out of here and get a free ride to school, and I did. I got a full ride at 16 to San Diego State. I knew that that was the only thing I could do to get away from my mom and my dad. Like, my dad was nicer to me than my mom, but both were abusive, verbally. My mom was so verbal abusive, it's like she's in denial. She would never admit it. Call me out my name. She would call me bitches a lot, all the time. Just say things, lie to people about me. My sister met a guy guys on Black People Meet and had a baby and couldn't find the father. So she never called her out her name, nothing. But me, I felt like Cinderella living there. Like, I never was happy. Birthday parties sucked. It was always commotion when it was my birthday. They kept foster boys too. Of course, they would come in our room at night, fondle us and stuff. And they still kept them after the fact, after I told them. So even to this day, like, my dad would come home, we were kids, in those green pants with those cop boots. I can't stand looking at it to this day. And that whiskey liquor smell, no. One time he got so pissed. My friend, I ran track with him. He took my head and smacked it on the windshield, and it cracked, passed out. And I don't remember much, but when I got up, she said, get up and hug your dad. I'm like, I'm not hugging this man. Like, abuse was normal. That's all I knew, was loud, fighting, cussing, my mom throwing stuff, breaking all our stuff up. It was never peaceful, ever. In the years 96 and 97, we always had this track meet in Vegas. And it was like the highlight of our school year, because that's where all the even the guys that weren't coaching would get on the list and were able to travel with the team. So this particular year, we went to Silverado Invitational in Vegas. And I was 15. And our hotel room, it was like the team was on one end, and then me and my friend was on the other end with the two coaches, Brian and Kitrick. And so a few chaperones went, my parents went, a couple other parents went, but I didn't think nobody like paid attention. Like, why is Tammy in this other girl's room on this side of the hotel and the rest of the team is on the opposite side? The night my incident happened was the same night I seen my friend get assaulted by Kitrick. When my incident happened, I was in his room, and I remember I had on a red t-shirt, no underpants, and he had Boone's Farm and E&J in the room, and he began to grab me, put me on the bed, and I couldn't move, you know? And he told me I had too much hair on my vagina for me to shave it. Yes, and then he took my virginity that night. It was horrible. And I could smell the E&J on his breath. And I remember him going into the restroom, and I hate the smell of Dawn soap, men's soap, to this day. And he started washing up with Dawn soap, and then he had this white towel over his shoulder. And I was just sitting there crying, and I went back to my room, and my teammate asked me what happened, and I told her what he did. And we cried, and we had it was two queen beds in the room. So around 11 that night, Kitrick came to our room, and I remember him asking my friend, is she asleep? He thought I was asleep, but I wasn't. The TV was on. And he threw her on the bed. And you know, I don't know, like back then they had the wood on the wall for like the bed frames. He grabbed it, and it was like she was a corpse. Like, he tore her up. And I held my breath so long, my nose began to bleed real bad, because I didn't want him to see me breathing. And so when he was finished, he had on gray shorts. He walked out of the room, and she was crying. And I didn't say anything to her. The rest of the night was just silent. We didn't say anything. And I wasn't aware until later that it was other coaches there doing the same thing to other victims. It was about 4 of them. One girl, Brian had sex with me that night and another girl, same trip. We wasn't aware of that until recently. When my friend got assaulted in Vegas, she got pregnant. And I remember because she had a yellow receipt, it was $395. And my mom took her, and it pissed me off. So our relationship has been strained. Even before that, it was messed up, but we've never been close. I know the next day, I ended up running, I think it was 11:36 in the 100. You know, I became 3rd in the nation, and I don't even know how I ran that fast. I know I didn't ride back with the team though, because on the way there, we rode on the bus. And I didn't want to ride back with the team, and I stopped training with the team after that incident. I didn't train with them anymore. I started training at Mount San Antonio College, and that's where Brian coaches right now, girls. Mount Sac is well aware that he's assaulted so many girls. It's Jane Does that haven't even, hadn't had their day in court yet. But and Mount Sac is aware of this, and I know for a fact that he would take these young girls at the basketball team to Palm Springs and have these parties and have his fraternity brothers come, and these little young girls are drunk, passing out all over the place. I wasn't there, I don't know what happened, but I can imagine it was kind of probably the same thing he would do to us. And I don't understand why Mount Sac would let him be head coach. He even got coach of the year like last year. And I'm like, but they're aware because they put an article out saying that they're not going to remove him because of all the charges. Right now it's 3 girls that have went to court already, and it's a ton more coming out just for him alone. And as far as Kitrick, he's dealing with kids too, special needs kids. And I don't understand why any of these men are still coaching. Like our Pomona High School's head football coach, he's the athletic director. His victims haven't came out yet. I don't know why he's still at the school. I've seen him do some acts too. It's tons of them. I know Vincent Sterling, he coached at Ganesha High School. I think they fired him doing the same thing. They're all related. These men are all related, and it's sick.
Having a great imagination in a cruel world can be a cruel thing. Because you can imagine bright and you can imagine dark. And when you're empathic, you feel all of that.
Yeah, I feel it. Oh, that's crazy you say that. Like the movie Green Mile, when John Coffey felt everything, I can feel that a lot. I cry a lot, a lot.
You know, once we get past our pain and we give up the guilt and shame, that's what we got left.
Thank you.
You know, so the tears that I cried when I was a girl were things I could not have possibly understand, yet I felt the emotion so real. Later, I ended up living some of those things. It hit different, and now I'm on the other side of working with people like you to help you see. You know, you said something really interesting to me. You said, I'm little Jag.
Yeah.
And you know what? That really touched my soul.
Wow.
Because for me, I pray that everybody has a little bit of me inside of them. Because a little bit of me is victory. A little bit of me is survival.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of me is appropriate outrage. A little bit of me is, I'm not going for this. A little bit of me is, I'm not going to forget all of the girls I left behind. I'm going to go back and make sure this young woman, this young man gets that recollection. Part of what I really want to do is get people to understand, as you share your story, that this is not gossip. This is not just for content. This is not salacious. This is a real story from a real survivor who went to court, was recognized in court for the wrong that had been done to her, awarded a settlement, and then ostracized and gaslit for nearly decades later. Did I get that right?
Yes, yes.
You remind me of my friend Natanya Rubin. She's one of Diddy's victims. That's the woman from the pow-powing back in 1999, the night that Jennifer Lopez was there.
Wow.
The night that Jenny from the block threw the Glock out the window. She also went to court.
Wow.
In the face.
In the face.
You know how many people don't survive that?
Yes.
Imagine how she felt when that documentary that just came out on Max and ID hit. And even in there, they were still minimizing her very real victim story. When the truth is, if they had handled up on Diddy back in 1999, like they should have, and it not just went to a civil case that got swept under the rug, to which, by the way, she's still waiting to be paid from Shine.
Wow.
Shine still has not paid her his portion of the judgment. But he's got a documentary. Lying about why he went to jail.
Damn.
25 years this woman has been telling the truth. 25 years everybody knows what happened to her. And they're still minimizing what happened. If Diddler had went to jail for attempted unalivement back then, there would be no Cassie.
Yeah.
There would be none of the baby moms and the treatment, and he would have already been gone away. But the victim machine kept going on. And that leads us to your story. Because you're experiencing the same thing.
Same thing. Same thing. The same thing. Yes. To see those men coaching girls still, I can't sleep at night. Like, I know the settlements came and all that. I think I didn't want to be Jane Doe in my case. Right. I said, no, they're going to say my name. If you're going to say it. The rest of the victims are Jane Does. 4 of them were awarded their money already, disappeared. My job isn't done yet. I have to keep fighting. What bothered me too was the coaches have been they were taking girls to Vegas for years doing this. So that's trafficking.
Well, if it was going across state lines,
yes.
Even if they were authority figures, if the purposes for what they brought them across turns criminal, then it has no choice. Yes.
And then Kitrick, the NFL guy, people knew they were doing this back in the late 80s.
Of course. Yeah.
So, but they hid it because he was in the NFL. He was like the Pomona's town little legend. So they knew what was going on. Our principal knew, athletic director
kind of like that story. Did you get to read up on that case?
No, I didn't finish reading
it. With Jerry Sandusky?
Not yet.
So similar.
Really? I mean, everybody, the principal was married a student because he got her pregnant. I forgot his name.
Married a student?
Yes. Yes. So they've been covering this up for decades. Like, at the time when I was at the school, his name is Ed Taylor. He was our athletic director. He knew that the guy that assaulted me was a felon. He wasn't supposed to work around kids.
And yet he was there.
Yes.
And your story, from what you were telling me, really starts to break down at the age of 15. National.
3rd in the nation track. I was leading track. Okay, nobody could beat me, and I was the youngest too, 15. And when the night my incident happened, the very next day is when I ran that fastest time. The next day, sore, I don't know how I did it. And I looked at the clock like, I ran that? Just was floating.
Muscle memory.
Yes, rolling.
What you train the body to do, it will do under duress or,
You know what hurt me?
What?
I don't know. Seeing my friend get violated hurt me more than It was hard to watch.
Because it didn't have to happen. And it was happening. And you knew nothing was going to be done about her. Like nothing was done about you.
Yes. And she ended up getting pregnant that time.
And I just want to put it into context. These aren't music industry victims. These are sports victims.
Yes. Yes.
And some of these people, if I'm correct, have ties to the NFL.
Yes. He's known for catching Brett Favre's first touchdown. He even wrote a book. I said, well, did he put in the book he was assaulting young girls for decades? Like, the way he did her, I was afraid of me. I stopped, like, dating him. Didn't want nothing to do with him. So that's when the verbal started coming with my mother. Like, you did, yeah. Like, because I wasn't promiscuous. I didn't have boyfriends and stuff. So because what happened to me, I said, you're going to tease me because of what happened to me and call me just my whole life.
Understand this. I started living a lesbian lifestyle. It was after the last time I was viciously gang assaulted by 5 men.
Oh.
The first guy I tried to date after that, I literally almost threw up in his mouth when he tried to kiss me goodnight. I barely let him hold my hand. I was traumatized. Beyond belief. And of course I had a cousin that was a lesbian that told me if that's how men made me feel, if I was really straight, I wouldn't have that reaction, that I was gay. And it was really odd because I'll never forget my first time at Libations, hanging out with all the gay girls, trying this persona on. And when I heard the one girl say, thank God you got gang raped because you would have never known you were a lesbian.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Like, we're all sitting there drinking.
You
know, and at this point in time, you know, the party, you know, having their good time. And that literally came out of her mouth. Thank God you got raped. Because you would have never known.
Do you know, like, even, okay.
The things that
that's crazy. That's crazy. And you know what, like, even when I got married to my kid's father, I didn't love him. I married him because my mom told me to, and because he went to the NFL. Then he played for the Jets, then Green Bay Packers, same team, same colors as Kitrick Taylor. So I had to relive that all over again. I hated my husband.
Have you looked into Anna Kane, the Diddy victim?
No.
It's Anna Kane, isn't it? Anna Kane was flown from Canada to the United States to Daddy's house. The girl in the D&G shirt that they were making a big deal about.
The black one?
No, the white one that came. Unfortunately, her identity was just forced to be revealed because of the fake Diddy victim, that was pretending to be her.
Wow.
So she had to come forward.
Oh.
But Anna, she went on to marry a professional athlete, hockey. And they've had a particularly nasty divorce.
Wow.
And her children have been used as fodder against her. And now they're saying that she's crazy, she's this.
Oh yeah, they say that about me too.
Exactly.
She has a mental problem. No, I don't. What happened was, if it's a house full of rugs, I pulled them up. I'm not sweeping shit under the rug no more, ever. So, of course I would look like the odd one, because I'm telling the truth. My mom knew what happened. Everybody knew.
Is it not bizarre that as we're sitting here going through your story, lightweight, by the way, there's 3 different cases that I brought up that sound almost identical to yours.
Yeah.
What does that say? Really?
It needs to stop. We need more people coming out and just speaking. Everybody's afraid.
And I thank God that you finally found the courage. And
Thank you.
I thank God that you trusted us enough with your story.
Thank you.
And your partner.
Yes.
I'm grateful that you realize that we're here.
Thank you.
To protect protect the truth and to make sure that it comes out. Because what happens is a lot of people release their stories and people get caught up into the details. But they forget this is a human being whose life has been drastically affected. The survivor story is heralded, but the victimization part of the story gets totally whitewashed.
Yeah, when I first, I was taking it to my grave. I was not gonna say anything. How it came out was my mom and my sister and my cousin went to the school because my niece was being benched by the guy who assaulted me. So now you wanna bring it up that he did this in the 90s because my niece is being benched. So the cops called my job and was like, we need you to come down here. I said, for what? It was like, oh, your mom said this happened to you in the 90s. I said, well, I wish she had said something
in the 90s.
Yeah, my whole life.
And now all of a sudden your pain is relevant when it can help somebody else.
And then when I first came out, some of the victims now, oh, they were talking mess. She just doing it for a money grab. Oh, that didn't happen. But then they got attorneys and they told their story and got their settlements too. Never said thank you to me for saying anything. I took the most heat, had to move, getting threats, cars being tires slashed, eggs, everything they did to me. Even my kids was like, my son told me, you were a slut? Like my oldest son. Yes. They don't even talk to me right now.
You want to know what's interesting? I remember when members of my family started working on my kids.
Oh yeah. Ooh, just burns me up.
And I started cutting everybody off financially.
That's exactly what happened.
And they do it to all of the survivors. I feel sorry for the people that get the settlements and then their families come in like what your family did with you.
Oh, yeah.
And then turn around and pretend as if you did nothing for them at all.
No.
And then they forget how you were able to help them.
Yeah, all of them.
The pain just totally swept under them. And it's just, you need to get over it. You need to get over it. Are you sure that what happened? You was fast. See, he probably didn't even know how old you were. Like, it's...
I didn't even have breasts when it happened to me. Nothing. I was like a kid. I had a kid body. And he did that.
An athletic body.
Yeah.
And that means, let's just be honest, if that's what he was interested in when you were at that age, he was probably interested in boys too. Does he have any male victims?
I know it's 3 of them are related. But what they used to do to the young boys on the basketball team and track and football, you date them girls, we're going to whoop your ass. So they weren't allowed to even talk to us. They would lock them boys in the gym, beat them by themselves. And one kid brought a gun to school to kill the coach. That's how bad he beat him up.
This is the thing. You beat the fear of God into them so that they don't consort.
Yes.
And maybe that was a cover to make sure that the victims weren't talking.
Yes. Because one of the guys reached out to me a couple of weeks ago and he said a lot of them came from single-parent homes. So they looked up to these men as father figures. And these were top athletes. Didn't get them no scholarships, nothing. Nothing. They didn't do anything. Wasn't allowed to take us to prom. I didn't even go to prom. Nothing. They would fill us up with liquor and take us to the girls' locker room, and it would go down in there.
You want to know what's wild? Parents send their kids to school. And they trust these people.
Yeah.
With their children for large amounts of time daily, where they're not around.
For the life of me, like with my parents, they knew. Because a girl that was on my team, Cherie Chapman, I'm gonna say her name because I don't, whatever. She told my mother she suspected something back in the 90s. So when my mom took one of the victims to get an abortion without her parents knowing, our relationship was over. I knew then, like, I can't talk to this lady.
Here we are at this part of the journey, a part that I know very well, and so do many other survivors. A lot of people get alienated by their friends and their co-workers or their teammates. But whistleblowers who come forward and speak out, especially when a community is being affected, go through what I call the family alienation process. when you become ostracized by your family. What happened to you, though it wasn't your fault, now is the bad thing that happened to everyone. And you are a constant reminder that this bad thing happened to the family and attached to the family name. People are questioning whether or not what happened to you is real. People are telling you that, you know, oh, you might have got a settlement, but we all know what really happened. Like, these kinds of things are there to gaslight the truth teller into being silent, or to just going along with whatever cover-up they have so that the predators can keep working. So let's just let Tammy tell the rest. But trigger warning, she may have to say some terrible things about her family. That doesn't make her a terrible person. It's her sharing a terrible experience she went through with her family. Save your judgment and hear her out.
I was at work and the cops called my job. And I'm like, oh my God, why are they calling me? So my mom and my sister and my cousin went to Pomona High School and told that the coaches were having sex with young girls back when I went to school because they were benching my niece. So my mom knew this whole time what happened to me. So it took you 22 years to say something, all because my niece was being benched. So I never outed them. I was taking it to my grave. They outed me. So when my niece went from scoring all these points in the game to not even playing, taking her jersey off, I was like, that's it, I'm telling. I was on my way to work, closed my eyes, and I said, the first attorney I fought, like I went to Google and I scrolled, and the first attorney I click on, that's who I'm calling, and I did. And when I called them, my mom was like, so you're gonna ruin the coaches' lives? Everybody was pissed, even some of the victims were mad. Like, why are you telling? Why did you wait so long? Especially some of the men too. I know my track friend, she's not my friend, her name is Alexis. She's still friends with the guy that assaulted us today, and did a deposition for him in court. Yes, against me. Well, she knew what happened too. So anyway, so when I told on the coaches, everybody was pissed off. When the settlement came, oh, praise the Lord, we knew you could save the family. Your dad died 9 years ago, a couple years ago, and after I pay all the bills, I'm only left with $100. So here I come saving the day, upgraded the house, floors, everything. Got a Maserati, a Jeep, everything for them. And they were my cars, but I let them drive them. So this particular night, my son came over the house and he was laying on the floor. My mom was like, that's it, I'm selling the house. I don't like people laying on my floors. So my son was like, I'm gonna just leave. I said, I'm gonna just follow you to the gas station and come back. So when I get back, we're having this altercation with words. She came in my room like 4 or 5 times, calling me out my name, swinging on me and all this stuff. So all the abuse I've endured with her since I was a kid came out that night. I said, call me a dick again. And she did. So I initially ran up the stairs to get my dad's gun to kill her. And then I caught her on the stairs, and that's when I grabbed her for 23 seconds. Told her to stop disrespecting me, actually, for 23 seconds. So my bail was supposed to be $25,000 and $25,000 to get out. But on the body cam, because the lawyer let me listen to it, my mom said, she can afford to get out. I'm scared for my life. She bought 9 cars. So they raised my bail to $1 million at first with attempted murder charge, life sentence. 30 minutes later, they got an approval by a judge, raised it to $2 million, attempted murder, life sentence for grabbing her for 23 seconds. It was like all that abuse, and I'm looking around the house like, I did all this for you. I didn't have to come here. I wanted to leave the state, and I came here to help you, and this is what you do to me? Like, my sister didn't do anything. She didn't buy anything. She didn't do nothing for the house. So that night I grabbed her. They left me in jail for 5 months. I was in there 5 months. And in the midst of me being in there, both of them, my mom signed my Maserati pink slip, put it in her name. My sister signed I had a Rubicon Jeep, signed it, put it in her name. She never gave me that Jeep back. Sold it. I don't even know what she sold it for. I get out of jail, house is sold. All my furniture, the arcade games, everything is at my sister's house right now. Everything. I had to start from the ground up. They took it all. I helped everybody, all of them. Her sisters, like I started a trucking company, and I gave her sister, my aunt, the money, Pam, and her and her son didn't do right by it, took it, ran off with it. The money never paid, not even, she never paid me $1 back to this day. And she is in the military. She gets, you know, her money a month, not $1. And then all of a sudden, now I swindled the district because I lied. Now everybody want to talk shit. Yeah, it's bad. Like my sister's husband, the sheriff, he's known for putting his hand. He knocked his own sister out cold. He always putting his hands on girls, women. So when I told my mom, I said, this is bullshit. He's an officer, and I was at his house, and he just pulled my throat, like it was hurting so bad. And I'm like, why are y'all protecting him? If my daddy was here, this would not go down. You know, so I felt like even my kids turned their backs on me. So when I say I had to cut everybody off, that's what had to happen so I could live. The night I went to jail, everybody said I beat. Now, mind you, my mom's been verbally abusing me my entire life. And I'm looking around like, damn, I got the settlement, helped her out. Look at my sister didn't do one upgrade. Didn't buy no furniture, but all my stuff is at her house. Arcade games, everything, whatever, keep it. So this night I said, I'm looking around seeing what the settlement brought me from the guy who assaulted me. And she kept antagonizing. I said, this is gonna be the night. I said, I asked her 3 times. I said, would you please get out my room? She cussing me out, swinging a little bit, pulled my chain off. I said, call me a again. Say it again.
This is your mother.
My mother. Oh, that's her favorite word, bitch. I said, okay. I ran up the stairs. I initially went to go get my dad's gun. I said, I'm ending this.
Are you the prettiest of the siblings for the girls?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what they say.
Would they say you're prettier than your mother?
Yeah. I look just like my dad. Just like him. And he's been dead almost 9 years. Mm-hmm. But I didn't like him either. You know?
Did your mother like him?
She liked the money.
She didn't like him.
When he died, she was like, now I'm gonna lose $4,000 of your dad's money a month. Because he had got a settlement too, for over $2 million or something. So, yeah.
She worried about that cash.
Yeah. I mean,
my mom was the same way.
Really?
She said that she was never going to deal with another man after my father died until she got her pockets ran through by that dude she met on Christian Mingle.
Oh, that sound like my sister. That's what I was saying, like my sister.
And wanted to sue the website for false advertisement because clearly that man wasn't no Christian because he came through and stole the coochie and stole the ATM card and rolled.
No.
After they planned the wedding and she let him see the money that she got every month. Off my dad.
Yeah, my dad, he couldn't be close to me like he wanted to. So he would sneak and come to my house to see me and the boys on Sundays. Yeah, he would ride his bike over there.
That's wild.
Yeah. He told me before he died, he said, don't be like Kim and Renee. They're weak. He said, be just like my mama, strong. And even though I really didn't like him because he was abusive, every weekend he getting drunk and tearing up some stuff and beating us.
Black sheep usually means lone wolf.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't need anybody.
No.
You was gonna push through.
Like now. Like now. I can't quit. I'm too strong.
So, what I really want to know is, especially about the assailant that changed your life.
Yes.
From a national record holder and breaker to somebody in county jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you could wish or predict what happens to him next, what would it be?
I hope he gets fired and then goes to jail. He needs to. It's too many other victims coming out. It's so many of them. And he passing around chlamydia to the young girls like it's okay. And the head coach, which is Kitrick, his cousin, he was the ringleader of all the assaults.
Hooking everybody up.
Hooking them up, yes. Buying the liquor, doing all this stuff with us.
Getting the girls drunk.
Yes.
And making sure they're docile and complacent.
Yes.
And do you know if there was any documentation? Were they filming any of these?
I have some pictures, but no, I don't. Not that I know of. Yeah.
So they were very careful about making sure there was no evidence.
Yes. And what's crazy about it, the athletic director, which is a pastor now, he needs to tell the congregation what he did, Ed Taylor. He would give the coaches keys so that the girls' locker room, some of the assaults happened, the boys' locker room, snack bar in the gym. That's where it all happened. They had keys to everything.
Just like in mental hospitals, the janitor, that's the one that sets everything up because that's the one that got keys to every door and has the reason to be on every floor. So they go to the janitors in mental hospitals and the officers that work there or the doctors that work there just get the janitor to turn the key to whoever cell they want to go into, and you know there's no cameras in there unless it's time for observation. So they get to, they turn the mental hospital into a straight up no-tell motel.
Yeah.
With a bunch of victims that no one's having to believe because of where the assault happened and where they are to begin with.
I know I had asked my sister, I said, why did you guys agree to let my niece be coach? Mind you, my niece don't even talk to me. When the money stopped, everybody stopped. Why did you let her play with him? Why? Well, he is a good coach and he's trying to get her a scholarship. I'm like, did she get a scholarship? No.
It's always that way. They made promises they never had any intention of keeping. And the truth is, the worst part about it is they make the promise to see if you'll go for it. They want to see exactly how gullible you are.
Yeah.
They already know they're not keeping their promise, but they want to see if you believe it. And see, once they find out what you're willing to go for, they just keep pushing that line. And pushing that line and pushing that line. And then when they start doing it to somebody else, they use everything that they've done with and to you to remind you why you need to shut your mouth and turn your head and mind your business.
This is what's crazy too. One of the one I saw get assaulted, years later, my niece and her daughter are the same age. So why is your daughter playing for this man?
When you know exactly. Because he's still there. You know, my uncle, Candyman, I think I told you about him briefly yesterday. He M-worded, you know, the Lester, Mo Lester. At least 75% of the children in our family, he had a lot of time with my sister. My mother used to drop my sister off to be babysat by him. He got me at church, flashing me, asking me to touch it, stuff like that at church. And my family knew what he was doing. He was also a foster parent for the state of New Jersey. And he always requested the special needs.
Oh, no.
He got 4 of them girls pregnant. And one of the girls, has been taking care of our family this entire time. You know, because she had 2 of his babies when she was a teenage girl. But the thing is, she was sent there by the state. The state knew that they were his babies. Covered it all up. And they still let him be a foster parent.
That's jacked up. Okay.
As foster care.
This just...
In the 70s, 80s, in the state of New Jersey.
This is your relative?
Yeah, it's my uncle.
Damn.
My grandfather's brother, my great uncle. And my mom used to drop my sister off so he could babysit her, and he would always give her money. And she said, well, he was the best babysitter that was available because he always made sure she was fed, and he always gave us money, you know, to get a special treat and groceries. That's because he had just got finished touching the baby. He was paying you off.
What happened to him? He's still alive?
No, Candyman did, but he died just fine. No family protected him. We didn't jump until the day that he died.
You know what's jacked up?
They didn't want the shame. The problem that I had was that they still let him come to church. Well, if he's a sinner, he needs the Lord the most.
The athletic advisor that I was telling you about that was given to Ed Taylor, why was he speaking at my daddy's funeral? My mom was like, oh, I said, do you know who's speaking at the funeral? Why is he here? It's like they welcome it. They welcome it.
Because they're worried.
Oh, so they don't talk to me now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All of this is done to mask the perception of how people see them. Mm-hmm. See, the truth is, most of them don't even care. They don't care. No. But what they do care about is people knowing that they know and don't care. See, that looks different at the supermarket. That looks different at church. That looks different at the mall.
Yeah, it does.
You know, that looks different at the local bar. That looks different at Fridays on happy hour. That's that. And she like, ooh, and she let that man do, ooh. Yeah. See, don't nobody want to have drinks with that person. So it's the perceptions. And that's the thing that trips me out. You're busy trying to protect a lie when the truth is so much more powerful and can do so much more good. Mm-hmm. But you're fighting to hold on to the lie. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed part 1 of the Tammy Wallace story here for the Jaguar Wright Show, as we are now stepping into what it looks like for survivors in the sports world. Now, some of these people have ties to the NFL, and we're going to talk more about that. But in part 2 of our journey with Tammy Wallace, we're going to step you in, all the way in. Me and Tammy are going to have a real conversation about that terrible night that changed the entire course of her life. Like me, Tammy's been to jail. Like me, Tammy's been at odds with her family. But like me, Tammy is a survivor. So often we hear the stories, we hear about the cases, but we don't ever really examine the totality of the trauma that is induced on a person, not just from the experience, but everything that happens after. And the truth is, everything that happens after is usually much worse than what actually happened to you. But a lot of people, they get caught up in the headlines and they forget about what happened. And Tammy's going to be brave enough to walk us through her story, to walk us through her pain, because we want people to know the signs, because there are signs of when these people are working up their gambit. And this information could help maybe some families avoid the pain that people like me have gone through, people like Tammy have gone through, people like Jennifer Huff have gone through. It's real. And we're going to give it to you real and uncut. We are not going to be playing any games about this. People need to know. Tammy was brave enough to come forward. Will you be brave enough to listen? You have to understand, a big part of Tammy's plight is addressing some of the things that we discussed when we sat down. And we're going to touch up on it again in part 2, after we get through the disclosure of her outcry intensely. And guess what? We're going to talk about the institution that facilitated all of this. The schools. Schools where people send their children. Trust these institutions will take care of their kids. And they welcome these monsters to come and do what as they will with these young, impressionable people who are just wanting to use their God-given gifts to create a better life for them and their families. It really is a trap. So Tammy's going to be brave enough to walk us through hers. I hope you've enjoyed this first episode of the Jaguar Wright Show. And as you know, we'll be back. See you next time.